So today's May 28th. I have gotten 50% or more of the pigs' feed from this little garden bed that you may previously have seen. These pigs cut off the winter cover crop. They ate it, they tilled it, raked it out, and then replanted. This came up. I've been cutting and carrying into the pen to let this grow, and I was gonna put corn up through it. I planted corn, but really not enough, and it wasn't coming up very fast. Corn does take a lot of nitrogen. There's no way around it. But I got a lot of protein and stuff out of this. It started to bolt because of the hot weather. The dakin radish started putting seed heads on. So rather than let it get tougher and less palatable, I grazed it with the goats just this afternoon, let them eat off the bulk of it. And now the pigs are gonna finish chewing it down, and they're gonna work up the soil, and I'm gonna immediately replant. So May 28th, I'm on my second crop for the season. May 28th. Most people don't plant their first garden until late May, June. You know, I'm on my second garden completion, about to start my third. Are you ready to go out and eat? Huh? You ready to go trim off a garden? Go ahead. Go ahead, big girl. You know what time it is. Yeah, you know what time it is. Oh, baby. Lunchtime. This region does not produce soil like this. I don't care how much money you got. There is no stake of land here at 2,000 foot elevation on top of good old Rocky Top, as they call it, which is sandstone as shallow as surface. We're famous for sandstone to the east and limestone to the west. This is a quarry region. Timber and quarry are the primary industries. Timber, quarry, and beef cattle. We don't grow corn here, not hardly, because the soil is awful. It's rock hard, it's pure heavy clay, and it's very sandy with Pennsylvania sandstone. The alarmism about, oh my God, we're losing our topsoil, the topsoil is washing the ocean. Totally agree with that. Topsoil is all going down the Mississippi and washing up in New Orleans. Totally agree with that. Absolutely man-made, terrible practices. Completely agree. The part about it taking 1 million years to make an inch of soil, that's a lie. Or 100 years, that's a lie. Phenomenal, soft, beautiful, aggregated chocolate cake soil in 5 years. I'm nobody special, guys. I did it, you can do it. Day 2. They kind of start one way and go across. I'd say we're about 40% of the way there. Day 2. I'd say we're 60% done. Don't bite me. Been pretty easy on my part. They doing all the work. Day 3, I'm gonna say they're pretty much done. I could get them to do a little bit more if I drilled some holes and put some grain in the holes. They would plow it up more. Get out of there, dummy. Dog, electric fence. That's what they do. So just put out a little bit of a couple bags of watermelon, pineapple, scraps, some beets, some onions, stuff to lady I know gave me. When you got pigs, people say, hey, feed this to your pigs, feed this to your pigs, which is great. I just noticed that Frank has got some blood on his ear, which means he got bit. And Beans here the other day was nibbling on his tail. Tail and ear biting is a major indication of low sodium. Blood is full of sodium. A pig gets a taste of blood and it tastes what it's missing, which is sodium, salt, and then they start biting some more to get some more of it. A major component of cannibalistic tribes is low salt in the diet, just because the crops and the animals in the area, the soil doesn't have a lot of salinity. So the people are salt deficient. So what are we going to do? We're going to get some salt in here. We're going to get them some mineral. And it makes sense because when they're eating a lot of greens, they're not getting a lot of feed. And the feed is usually the source of the salt, since I've run out of mineral. So I'll have to go to the co-op and get some mineral. And that's a fact of life. You got to have a lot of calcium and phosphorus to build a skeleton. You need salt to make HCl, hydrochloric acid, which is what does the digesting in a monogastric, humans alike. So we all need salt. There's no way around it. Well, pigs are all done here. All the manure has been buried. You know, anything that was on the surface, I just dug a little trench and put it under the top so that we don't get any denitrification from manure gassing off, volatilizing to the atmosphere as ammonia. We want to capture all of the nitrogen we can possibly capture. That's the whole point of this, of trying not to have input costs. You know, you don't want to, I'm trying not to have input costs in rototiller, in gas, in time. I'm trying not to have it in fertilizer, trying not to have it in lime, in pesticide. I'm trying not to have costs in animal feed. I'm trying not to have costs in doctoring, in antibiotics, all of these things. That's the whole goal. This is so tiny. I understand. You look at it, a real farmer looks at this and laughs. The concept is for me to figure out what to do on a 1 or 2 or 3 head scale, and then take it up to as far as it goes. If it's profitable, if you've got a module that's profitable at 2 heads, then how profitable would it be at 200? Anytime you talk to a cattle person that's got 10 or 20 head, you say, is there any money in cattle? Nah, maybe if you were real big. That's what they say. Maybe if you were real big, because there's economy of scale. Well, if you can't be profitable at 2 or 4 head, maybe you're not going to be so good off at a bunch. That's my opinion. What do you guys want? You've been fed. So I bury all the manure under sawdust. I put it up in the corner, and it just keeps getting higher and higher until it's about to spill over the bank right there. Well, got this one finished up yesterday, I guess. Right, Roxy? You dirt dog? Seeded it, raked it in, rolled it with the 4-wheeler to compact, you know, so you get good seed to soil contact and helps prevent the birds from getting on your seed, and cover it with old hay. The hay is going to have weeds in it. It doesn't bother me at all. I invite everything that's possible to grow. I don't have any problem with that. Diversity is good. And then flooded it, I don't know, maybe 200 gallons, probably 200-300 gallons of water. Hours and hours, several different sessions of just flooding it with water. And that's just to charge all the pore spaces with moisture. The hay on top prevents your birds from getting all your seed. It prevents the sun from drying the moisture out of the top. It prevents the rain from compacting the soil. That's the biggest issue. It really is. Of those 3, the initial emergence of seed, crusting from rain, is a huge problem, and straw solves it. Any kind of cover. It could be grass from your bag mower. That'd be great. I mean, that's nitrogen. That would be great. Any kind of sunscreen is going to really dramatically improve the little atmosphere, the moisture conditions directly under the surface. The seed is living in the surface. So if that top half inch dries out, forget it. The seed is just going to stall as if you're in a drought. So it really needs to stay moist. And the hay, just massive difference. And that also allows the microbial populations that live right around the seed, which are critical. Not that man exactly understands it, but they're critical. If that dries out, that life dies, your seed's going to stall. All of these things. So I've charged this bed with water. Even as the top dries out, once the roots establish, those roots are going to seek downward deeper and deeper because they're going to be chasing the moisture. So I'm not going to go crazy with watering this once we get good germination. Once the taproot comes out, I actually don't want the top to be very wet because then the seeds will flare, the roots will flare sideways. I want them to go down. I want these to be deep tilling. What gets rid of your compaction is roots feeding the microorganisms deeper and deeper into that soil. And if you've got water on the top, like a regular person who just, has their sprinkler water the garden, then, you're not going to get a deep tilling central root. So you're not serving your future soil so well that way. I mean, you look at nature. It rains all spring and it's dry all summer for the most part. No one's out watering the ragweed and the goldenrod and the annual ryegrass, or perennial ryegrass, or the switchgrass on the prairie. But the switchgrass has got a 8-foot deep root system. Nobody had to train it. It's because the soil was saturated in one season and then let to dry from the top down in the next season. Clay has a tremendous moisture holding capacity if there's porosity in it. So nature doesn't make mistakes. Why not just clone it? There we go. We've got fantastic germination. I've had 2 days of really good rain, and now we're looking at 3, 4, 5 straight days of good hot temp, intense sun. Cloud free, looks like. Yeah, totally blue sky. It's gonna be in the 80s. This ground is just saturated with water, and this is gonna grow like wildfire. I don't have any crusting in that soil. Even though it was exposed, it was covered with straw immediately after being all tilled up by them pigs. And the farmers in you might say, well, look at it's all uneven. It's not straight. It's patchy. It's clumpy. Yeah, it's exactly how nature works. Did you ever see a no-till drill just getting run around by a squirrel out in the woods? Did you ever see a squirrel with a tape measure planting oak trees? Did you ever see a bird pooping out seed from a nearby field, maybe a quarter mile away? Did you ever see that bird measuring if he got his plops spaced evenly? Nature doesn't give a shit about uniformity, even sowing depth, about seeding dates on the same day. Nature seeds and seeds and seeds. It scatters a diverse window. It's going to put early seed, it's going to put late seed, it's going to put clusters of dense seed, it's going to blow scattered thin seedings, it's going to put mixtures that don't pair well together, it's going to put mixtures that do pair well together. It's going to do everything with variability so that no matter what the season brings, no matter what the temperatures, the climate, the rain, the drought, the flooding, whatever comes, there will be something that succeeds. Nature makes seed in abundance. It does not worry about waste. The tree does not say, geez, I can't afford to buy another sack of this seed. I better get it all used up. It just makes excess. Okay? Tadpoles. You ever see a frog nursing a tadpole? No, it just plants 1,000 babies. It says a few of them are going to make it. It's an abundant seeder. And that diversity, that variability, that variation gives robustness and it causes something to always survive. There's never a failure. So that's what I want to mimic. Right, Roxy? Roxy, how much diesel fuel? How much gasoline do we use in here? No? How much salt-based fertilizer? You guys probably ought to know that salt, water, and Dawn dish soap as a surfactant is a fantastic herbicide. So if salt is an herbicide, think about that. If salt is an herbicide, do I want to use nitrate fertilizers? Calcium nitrate, ammonium nitrate? It's got salt in the name. Salt is a pesticide. Why would I want to go to the co-op, spend my freaking profit margin on toxin for my soil if I'm trying to make living soil grow living food? It doesn't make any sense, guys. Leave the fertilizer. Start mimicking nature. It doesn't blow its budget at the co-op.